We should be good. We're live on YouTube. Okay, we're all set, Abraham and Mayor.
All right, do me a favor, if everybody can, if no one's using the Zoom and not talking, it's a lot of, so we can just, if you're not going to speak, please mute yourself. All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope all is well. And I hope that you all voted. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can put up the flag. I'm hoping for an in-person meeting, hopefully by next month, or maybe beginning of the year. Otherwise, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all. Okay. So who has the control, Abraham or Brian?
I have it, Mayor. Just give me a moment. The first item on the agenda is the Amnesty Program 2020. It's a request for extension to it. I have the numbers, latest numbers. 1,108 tickets are eligible for the 2020 Amnesty Program. As of October 29, 45% of the eligible tickets were paid. If the board remembers, there were two categories of tickets. There was one that they were issued after February of 2020 through end of July. That was the 50%. That the Amnesty Program would call for the original fines to be imposed rather than adding any penalties to it. And the second category was to reduce the outstanding fines by 50%. The first category, that there were fines only, 89% of the eligible tickets were paid by the end of October. And the other category, only 28% were paid. Requesting if the Amnesty Program could be extended retroactively from November 1st through November 30th. So it would give the people with the tickets opportunity to clear their tickets with the Amnesty Status Program, whether it would be to pay only the original fines or pay the outstanding fine with a 50% reduction. You'll see the resolution on your screen.
Is 1 month enough time for these people?
Well, the Amnesty Program ran from middle of September through the end of October, so there was a month and a half.
Right.
This is just to extend it for an extra 30 days to give more time, whoever is interested, to clear the tickets.
Who would send them the requests?
Vendor. They have sent twice. They sent it at the beginning of the program. They send it toward the end. And they will send 2 more reminders and offers that they can take advantage of.
The court is sending it, or the company that we hired?
The vendor that.
The vendors, okay.
Yes.
So, okay, so we haven't started the new policy or the new program that we were discussing in the last meeting.
No, I can give you just an overall update. They have designed what they call a command center. They have told us the specifications of the devices that we need to buy for the parking officers. They have imported the names of the streets, the street addresses, as well as the codes and the amount of fines. They started training the court staff. We wanted to start by the beginning of the following year, beginning of 2021. However, it seems like at the end of the January or beginning of February would be a more reasonable time to expect the new program to go into effect.
Okay. All right.
We need a motion.
Is there a motion to extend the amnesty program pursuant to the resolution before you on your agenda?
I do.
Moved by trustee Hope and seconded by,
So
I'll
vote.
second.
I couldn't
Annie.
hear who seconded it.
Annie
Aye.
did.
Any seconded by trustee Mendelson. Any, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, passed unanimously.
The second item on the agenda is a resolution to authorize the mayor to purchase property at 756 Middle Neck Road for the purpose of building a new village hall.
This resolution actually is a follow-up to an earlier resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the contract. This resolution now authorizes the mayor to go forward with the closing and to sign any necessary documents and pay usual and customary fees from the closing. I believe a copy of that resolution is before the board. Is there a trustee that wishes to move the item?
I will move it.
I
Second.
just have a
Moved by
question.
the deputy mayor.
Wait,
I'm
wait,
sorry,
wait,
Trustee
I'm sorry,
Mendelson?
trustee
Annie
Mendelson.
has a question.
What's the time frame? You know, I mean, is there a time frame built into this?
Yes, our due diligence period will expire tomorrow, and following that, we have 10 days to set up a closing. So sometime over the next 10 days, there should likely be a closing. Now, that's not a hard and fast 10 days. I don't think that the seller is going to walk away from the deal if we were at day 11 or 12 or something like that. But the contract calls for a closing within 10 days after the due diligence period expires.
Okay, so if it didn't happen, then we would have to go through another.
Well,
Just find it-
if the closing did not occur, we would be in breach of the contract.
Okay,
Unless we bailed out of the deal today.
mhm. Okay,
I think the item has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Hope. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'm only going to ask for any objection or abstention. Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
The next item on the agenda is a proposal to repair the village hall front overhang. Just going to show you the pictures of this. Just give me one moment. The first picture that you will see is a picture of it from above, from the second floor. This picture was taken, I believe, last Friday, and you could see what Sheila calls, in the summer it's a pool, and in the winter is a skating ring. The water keeps, accumulating on the top, and if you look at the next picture, you could see the damage that was done to the roof. This is from the bottom of it. It's right outside of the village hall. It creates the hazard for the public. This is the other picture of it that you could see looking toward the building, and this is looking toward the school. We have tried to fix it over the, just by Band-Aid solution. We tried to fix it. Unfortunately, it's something I understand that we might be potentially moving to a new building within the next couple to 3 years. However, this needs your immediate attention, please. We have two proposals in front of you. Two estimates. One is from All Island Pro. They are estimating that it's going to be a $5,000. This includes to take the entire roof off and put a new roof, install a new base sheet, and also they are going to pitch the roof toward the gutter, fix the gutter, as well as fixing the cedar at the bottom of the roof, which it faces the public. The second one that you have is from All in One Roofing and Chimneys Inc. They are estimating the job to be $6,500 for the same job. This is the first one. And this is the second one.
So neither one of them include any repair. I mean, I'm just wondering if the electrical, because I noticed that there are lights there. Neither one of them include, I mean, I'm assuming some rewiring will be necessary, no?
Yeah.
I believe that will be in.
There is, but I think it's pretty, you know, it's looked, yeah, I mean, that's pretty simple wiring. So I mean,
You're removing, and are they removing these damaged
They're replacing.
wood?
They're
they're replacing the
they're-
wood. They're replacing the whole thing, Mayor.
Okay,
Well, if they're replacing the whole
all
thing,
right.
are they gonna rewire it also? Like,
They have to, Andy,
have-
they have to. They have to get
Well, it's not
electrician.
included on the receipt, that's why that's why
Right.
I'm,
That's a good pickup, Annie. It's probably gonna cost us a little bit more money to run the wires out there.
If the board wishes, we can, if you would like to pass it, we can pass it on the condition that they include that in there, or for certain amount.
Who are the contractors again?
The first one is All Island Pro.
Right.
Second one is All-in-One Roofing and Chimneys. Just for the record, I have hired this gentleman, All Island Pro, at middle of the summer for the roof at my house. I mean, I don't want to be biased because I haven't seen the job from the other one, but he did a pretty good job for what he charged. So
and it's 1,500 cheaper.
it's 1,500 cheaper, yes.
I mean, that should cover the wiring.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a.
Well, the question is if we can ask him to make sure the wiring is included. Abraham, if you can speak to him.
They can't, they have to get an
tomorrow,
electrician to do that.
Right, but they probably have people they work with, so they can probably just bring someone. That should not be a difficult electric work.
Right.
And those lights need to be replaced anyway. So if speak to them, if not, we'll deal with the electrician at a different time. But I think the board is okay, even though I think I wish we could have moved a lot faster, but you know, logistically, I think it's going to be impossible to move to the new village hall in 2021. Maybe, you never know. Okay, all right. Is the board interested in entertaining the 5,000 offer?
Yes, I'll move that.
Anyone like to second?
But
I'll
I would
second.
like, I think I'd like to authorize up to another $1,000 to include the electrical if necessary.
Steve, how much do you think, Steve Hope, how much do you think the electric work is going to cost?
Unmute, Steve. Steve, you need to unmute yourself, Steve.
No more than 500, and include LED hi-hats.
Okay, all right. So I think we probably just authorize another 500 for that. Because the moment you authorize 1,000, it's going to be 1,000. So let's see if they're willing to do it for another 500.
First, that's to throw it in.
Right. Okay. Bart, you moved?
Yeah, I moved it.
Second.
Second. Okay. Any objection? Okay. Unanimous.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is to set a hearing date to amend section 583 of the village code, which relates to the fee schedule. Steve Haramis, would you like to comment on it? Or do you want
Yes. So the fees, the way they're set right now is through a board resolution. So there are some fees that need to be adjusted in the building department, one of them being a oil tank abandonment or removal. We do not have a permit in place for that or a fee. So I put that on the agenda to be done, but it's right now it says board
Hearing.
by hearing, not by resolution. And normally in municipalities, it's by resolution. So I went through the code with Peter, and there's One part of the code says there is resolution, one part of it says that it's by hearing. So we're trying to just amend that and fix it, that everything would be by board resolution.
Steve, if I may jump in, as Steve just said, the code is inconsistent. In some places, it's set by resolution, and in some sections, it's by local law. What I propose to do is amend the local law, add the fire sprinkler, add the oil tank, and increase the plumber's license renewal fee, but then also add a clause to that local law, which will then appear in the code, saying that notwithstanding the listing of the specific fees, from here on in, the Board of Trustees can create, alter, abolish, amend fees as it sees fit by resolution. So I propose to do this by way of a local law change.
And just to clarify, Peter, real quick, and Steve, that the fire sprinklers is already in the code.
Yes, it is in the code, correct.
Can I ask how much it would be to remove a oil tank for a permit?
So an oil tank permit for residential would be $150, and in a commercial building would be $250.
That's fair.
So in
I
other
thought
words,
that-
if someone is updating, their oil tank is broken and they get it replaced, and in order to remove it, I mean, I'm trying to understand this. They have to get a permit, like if it's an emergent situation where the tank broke and they need to replace it immediately, how do
So they have to do that through Nassau County Board of Health, no matter what. Everything gets proved by Nassau County Board of Health.
But all abandonments have to go through Board of Health.
Correct.
And they're
But
all
when
done by the same company. They're all done by Windmill. So
So when they do an abandonment, we, the inspectors, do the inspection, not the county. If they do a removal, then the county comes out to make sure it's removed properly. So when we go out there, we're not getting a fee for it.
when there's
We
an
don't have-
abandonment,
Yeah,
if you
and
call
we don't-
if a client of mine calls Windmill to abandon a tank, I've never had them contact the municipality. Windmill comes out, abandons it, and issues a certificate that goes to.
Well, when they cut open the tank and they take the oil out,
Yeah,
we go there to make sure there's nothing in the tank, that it's all removed. When they
okay.
fill it with the sand, we go there to make sure the sand is filled in the tank.
So who calls you?
The plumber would call us,
But what if he just goes to the county? How would you even know?
and that's the problem. We don't have any record in our records. The municipality, our municipality should have records of the
Okay,
tank
'cause
abandonment or the
these are
tank
all,
removals.
these are all usually contained in the Nassau County Department of Health, and you can get the letters online that way from the Department of Health.
Yeah, every municipality I've worked in, they've all done tank abandonment permits.
Okay. Can't hurt. One more
No.
layer.
I just want to mention that there are two other fee schedule that there are two other fees that this local law will update. One is the fence permit. Currently, it is set at $100 for the first 65 feet and $220. Let me start over. $100 for the first 65 feet and $20 for each additional 25 feet or fraction thereof. The new local law sets a flat fee of $150. And also, Mr. Haramis is proposing to change the annual registration renewal for plumbers that they work within the village from $80 to $100. So this local law will include the fee update, as I mentioned, for the fence, for the plumbing permit, plumber's permit, as well as adding a fee to issue a permit for abandoned oil tanks. And also there will be, as Mr. B mentioned, there will be all the fee schedules going forward will be passed by a resolution rather than amending and changing the local law. I'm going to put it up for the board to see, and this is just to set the hearing date for it.
Steve Haramis,
Yes,
Steve Haramis?
Yes,
Bart said yes.
Bart, can you hear me?
Oh, now I hear you. Sorry, I didn't hear you before.
Okay,
Were we gonna revisit the $1,500 flat fee for finished basements? Which,
I didn't have that on as of now, but I think that's a discussion we should have, definitely.
okay, because I think it's excessive in most circumstances.
Okay,
Okay,
While we're at this, even though it's not the fees, but one of the other things that I'd like to see if we can also make an amendment to, currently, I believe the AC units and generators have to be about 20 feet or so from the
property
adjacent
line.
property.
right, not adjacent. Is it from adjacent property or is it from from the property line?
Let me see.
I thought it's to the property line, but regardless, I mean, I think we need to revisit that as well, as the new machines are a lot quieter, and many people actually would like to be able to have these on the sides of their houses or whichever way they can get it. I think a generator is going to be extremely difficult. Generators are much quieter than before. Also, they don't go on as often. They go on once a month for a few minutes, and then obviously when there's electric outages. So I think that it may not be a bad idea to also, if you can have, I don't know, Steve, if you have anything that you would like to suggest, maybe that can be crafted at the same time to be presented at the next hearing.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Mayor, just to answer your question, it has to be within 3 feet of the dwelling, not be less than 5 feet from the closest property line, and at least 10 feet from the frontmost portion of the wall of the dwelling along which they are placed. And also it says at 23 feet away, it cannot it cannot be louder than 70 decibel.
Decibels, yeah.
I thought it had to be
This
60.
is about, this is a generator or this is a AC unit?
This is a generator. This is for the generator.
23 feet.
No, it says from the distance of 23 feet, the sound of it should not be more than 70 decibel.
70, yeah.
70, correct.
Right.
And it has to be 5 feet away from the closest property line. It doesn't mention, I am looking at the code right now. I don't see it. Maybe there is that I can't see, but I don't think if there is, it says that it has to be, in a certain distance from any other property, from any other structure.
Okay, so if it's 5 feet from the property line, that I think that is fair. And that's the generator as well as the air conditioning, or the air conditioning unit has to be more?
I believe air conditioner has different rules, different codes.
60 decibel for the air conditioner.
But I think the new air conditioning units are extremely quiet. So, all right, I just wanted to see if we can revisit that to make it a little bit easier for people to put these next to their houses. Okay.
Okay.
To put them on the side, not in the back.
Right, because I think in the back, many people want to have their porch or some kind of a sitting area.
Yeah.
So if they can hide it on the side with
Back.
proper setback, I think that would be much better.
I think so too.
Well, right now.
At
we
this
also-
time, is there? I'm sorry, trustee Mendelson?
I was just going to say, right now, I think the way the code is written is that you have to have it shielded with bushes as well.
That's a story.
Yeah.
That's
I
all.
don't think we're going to change that regardless. I think it has to be really covered with bushes. I think even if it's in the back, it's a nicer thing to cover them with bushes. My question is, I remember that many people would like to put these structures on the side of their houses, but the code indicates that it has to be in the rear. And there's been many times, and I'm sure Annie, you deal with this a lot more than we do, that it causes hardship, because if they want to have a sitting area in the back of the house, they're not going to be able to have these units right next to it, or it's going to change the planning. So I think it's not a bad idea, especially now that these units are a lot quieter. Maybe we can put it on the side. So that's something that I would like for Steve Karamis to take a look at and see if he can come up with a recommendation for the board to apply.
Yeah, it can't just be for any units. It's got to be for units that comply with a certain decibel level.
Right. I think, Steve, I think you probably know, maybe Steve Karamis as well. I think the new compressors are very quiet. So I'm
No, they
sure
are.
they're going to comply with the code.
I have mini splits on the side of my house. You don't know they're on unless you don't even know if they're on when you're right next to it. You cannot hear it. And what's
Right.
funny is we have no regulation for window units, and those are very loud. So you could have a window unit right next to somebody's house. But
Exactly.
so
Right. So I think we really, it's an outdated code. It needs to be revisited. I think many people will be very happy, especially with the new constructions. We probably need to take that into consideration and give it a serious thought.
okay.
All right.
Very good, sir. Mr. Haramis and I will. At this time, however, is there a motion to set a public hearing on a proposed local law to amend the village code with respect to enactment and payment of fees?
So moved.
Do you wish that public hearing on November, what would it be, November 16?
November 17th.
17.
17?
Yes.
Moved by the deputy mayor. Is there a second?
I second.
I'll
There is
second.
second on the motion.
Annie.
Seconded by the mayor and by trustee Mendelson. Is there any objection or abstention? Hearing none, unanimous. Abraham, back to you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a request by the owner at the Confidence to close Beach Road at Middle Neck Road for a breast cancer fundraiser that they will be holding on November 8th. I believe that's 8. Not hold on one moment, please.
9:30.
9:30 to
9:30.
11:30. That would be.
Yeah.
What day of the week is it?
Sunday.
Currently,
Sorry.
go ahead, please.
Well, usually this is an annual fundraiser that I have been doing for 10 years. And we usually do it in the studio. And I can only have 33% in the studio. So I would like to do it outdoors. The Great Neck Park District, where I work for them, they cannot authorize any fundraisers. So the only other option I had is to close the street like I did for my 6th anniversary on Labor Day and do it outside on the side of the studio on Beach Road. But it would entail loud music. Mr. Sobel, I know you live close by.
Between you and the bar and Manja Benny, I'm ready to move.
And the smoke shop.
Yeah. And the ice skating rink. I'm gonna fight back with speakers.
I don't mind. I like loud music.
Not my music.
The
If the
fundraiser,
board chooses, if the board chooses to entertain this and pass on it, may I suggest that you do so subject to the governor's orders, which are changing and evolving. I believe that at this current time, 50 persons is the maximum for an event.
yes, correct. 50 people. I don't think I'll have 50 people because I still have a lot of people that are uncomfortable, even outdoors. My outdoor classes at the moment, I have at the most 25 people at Stepping Stone. So I can't imagine, unless people really want to come to the fundraiser, I can't imagine I would have more than that at the moment.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, any objection or abstention? Unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is a demo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. You're all invited.
We hope you get the 50.
You're all invited. There's 30 right here.
I'll send an emissary.
The next item is the request by
Hey,
the
Ben.
the request by the applicant at 187, 195 Steamboat Road for a demolition permit pursuant to section 237-7 N1, subchapter E of the Village Code. Currently, the way that the code is, for applicant to obtain a demo permit, they have to have a building permit secured before they can demo a structure. However, the code gives the board the latitude to allow them to go ahead with the demo permit. Meanwhile, before they can secure their building permit. The applicant, I believe, is presented by Mr. If I can find them, Mr. Kamali, I believe you are representing the applicant.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you like to present your case, please?
Yes, please. For us, the request for demolition permit is it's purely a liability issue for us. We have several vacant structures on the property right now, and it invites people onto the property that shouldn't be there. And for us, we're just concerned about the liability risk if someone gets hurt on the property until we're ready to start construction. That's why we're asking for these demolition permits now.
Members of the board, the draft resolution before you recites the criteria that's in the code that you would need to make a finding of, quote, unnecessary hardship, close quote. And the resolution before you recites that you have so found, and that it is limited, however, to the unique circumstances of this application. The waiver would authorize the issuance of the demolition permit by the building department, conditioned upon the applicant posting security of $10,000 in form satisfactory to the building superintendent and village council per permit on the basis of the waiver, and the $10,000 would in each case assure that a replacement structure be provided, a building permit for a replacement structure would issue within 6 months of the demolition permit, although it does also empower the superintendent of buildings to extend that for up to an additional 6 months. And the waiver is further conditioned upon any other reasonable terms and conditions that the superintendent of buildings may impose in issuing the demolition permit.
It's 10,000 per structure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Kamali,
Yes.
how long have the properties been vacant?
They've been vacant since the acquisition of the property. I believe it was early this year, towards the very beginning of this year.
Have you had any instances of people trying to squat or access those buildings?
And not necessarily squatting inside the house, but we've seen as we check on the property, we've noticed people on the premises that shouldn't be there. They're not authorized to be there. And that's really our concern, that it's really just a liability risk for us. You might invite people to squat, or, you know, these are older structures. So we really just better be safe and take the structures down until we're ready to start construction.
What are you gonna build?
It's a community center.
My question is, if you take the structures down, then having, you know, this empty plot of land might also be a danger for people to maybe get hurt. So wouldn't you surround it with some fencing or something? And if you go to the extent of surrounding an empty plot with fencing, why not just put up the fencing around the current plot?
You know, there's definitely some validity to that. I think just from a liability perspective, I think vacant land is a lot safer for us, because even if there is fencing, if, you know, for some reason the fencing is breached, these are older homes, a lot of the staircases are unstable, and, you know, they're not really safe structures. So even if fencing may be required by the village, we would still feel more comfortable having those older unsafe structures taken down just to be safe.
Trustee Mendelson, fencing, I believe, is required under the code if the demolition permit is issued by the superintendent of buildings. Steve, am I correct about that?
Yes, you are.
I just want to add one more thing from my torts class, that vacant structures are a attractive nuisance that may invite certain types of activity that you wouldn't have on a vacant property. And if the properties are demolished, I'm sure the building department would make sure that what's remaining there is much less hazardous than vacant buildings. And we, you know, there's also going to be hay bales for erosion and things like that put up. So, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever the village requires of us, we will make sure to comply.
Okay.
Does the trustee wish to move the item?
I'll move
I
the
move. Second.
Moved by trustee Hope, seconded by deputy mayor. Any discussion on that motion?
So Steve, the hay
Hearing
bales,
none, are there any?
sorry.
Right.
Steve, are the hay bales a requirement? Is
Yes.
that in the code? That's in the code?
Yes.
Okay.
Screening and hay bales, yes.
Okay.
Are there any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Abraham?
The next item on the agenda is the minutes of 10:20 meeting. I'm going to put it up in a moment. When we'd like to see the next page, I'll flip it over.
Go ahead.
I just noticed actually a typo in item A. It should say number 8 Dwight Lane, not number 0 Dwight Lane. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to change that.
It should be 18.
No, they wanted 18, but the board said either that's too far from the existing number 6.
Okay,
So offer was either number 8 or number
right,
10.
right. I don't know.
They
Okay.
wanted number 8, but here
Right.
it says typo, it says number 0. I'll
Zero,
change it.
yeah. Okay.
Should I move to next page? No, to next.
Yes.
To the, okay.
Thank you.
While you're reading, by the way, item C, we have ordered those LED lights for crosswalks, and they should be here in 3 weeks.
Great. Thank you.
How are we doing with the LED lights, the street LED lights?
Brian, did you submit that order for the nodes and the poles?
Yes, the orders have been submitted. Approximately 30 days to receive them, they said.
Okay.
And will a trustee move the minutes as amended?
I move them.
Second,
Any objection or abstention? Unanimous.
Next item on the agenda is the abstract for this coming Friday, November 6th, for the total of $890,485. This includes, the largest item on it is the contract with the fire department. That's why it's very large. And then also we have the street pavings that we have to pay for. That money comes from the capital project, from the capital fund, for a total of $187,087.50.
Did we get any chip money this year?
I know that Mr. Massaro will apply for it. I believe the amount that we have available is 180,000. So that 187,000 will be reimbursed. Almost everything will be reimbursed, but we have to first issue the check. The check has to be cashed by the vendor. We have
Yes,
to attach it, and then they'll reimburse us.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
So one of the items you had discussed earlier about the forfeiture for the tree plantings. So I came across that and I saw the letter from the residents saying that they were forfeiting the money. So in response to your previous query. I just
So
have-
given
Oh, I'm sorry.
they agree with the forfeiture, does the board would like to go ahead with it as is within the abstract?
The custom of the board has been to separately vote on the bond forfeitures. Would the board like to move that item as an independent item and then pass on the balance of the abstracts?
I think that's a good idea to do.
Mayor, are you moving that particular
I'll
forfeiture?
move it. Yes.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Hope. All those in favor?
aye.
Well, any abstentions or objections? Unanimous. And then trustee Mendelson, you generally move the abstracts. I will leave that to you.
Okay. I just have one question, and it's regarding the URL that we have. I noticed that we were renewing the contract for that, for the .com and the .org. I was just wondering if we were going to go ahead and start perhaps looking into getting a .gov.
Trustee Malison, we looked into that. There are a few requirements that we have to adhere to. One of them is, unless we are a unique name for a municipality, we have to extend the name of the URL. So, for example, currently we have Great Neck Village. If we want to move to .gov, then we have to change it to, for example, something like, we have to include a region. So it would be Great Neck Village dash LI for Long Island .gov, or dash Town of North Hempstead TN right TONH, or something like New York
Or Nassau County.
right Nassau County dash NC or dash NASA.gov. So it will increase, or it will prolong the URL, but it still, that's available. If the board wishes, we'll look into it further.
I mean, I guess for a future discussion, maybe, when I noticed it, I just recall that we once had touched upon this.
Correct.
Yeah, we did, because very often you'll have software companies like Microsoft or Adobe who will give the software to .gov addresses to use as opposed to charging for them. So, so there's an advantage in that way. There's probably other advantages, but I'm not sure of all of them right now.
Sure, we'll look into it to see if we can get, and we'll come up with a few suggestions for the URL name to the board.
Great.
Okay, I think I asked you all my other questions, so I'll make a motion to accept the abstract.
Second.
Any objections or abstentions? Unanimous.
Public comment,
Unanimous.
I believe Mr. Moslin has been waiting. Mr. Moslin?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here. Okay. I'm looking at the Village of Great Neck application for fee schedule, and you're talking about plumber's licenses, and then it says for performing work in the village as an electrician and/or plumber. Electrician has nothing to do with plumbing, and your electrician is licensed by Nassau County, not the Village of Great Neck. So how would that work out?
So there are certain instances where plumbing is involved, where an electrician is needed, when things needed to be bonded, where you need a licensed electrician. That's all that's for. It's not for any fees or anything like that.
Okay, so that's in correlation with the plumber then.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Good question.
Any other comments?
David had a comment. David, you can unmute yourself, please. Press it again, David. There we go.
Okay. Am I muted now?
You're
No,
good.
we can hear you.
David Slenziger, 15 Beach Road. I had a question for the board, and then I had a couple questions for the building department. For the board, if you're now going to own the new property for Village Hall, what's going to happen to all the paper files and stuff that's in current Village Hall? Is that all going to move? Or are you people thinking about digitizing some of it so that it might be up to the 21st century?
I thought we had.
So I think, right, we had discussed that in past, that we are We had gotten some estimate of how much it's going to cost to digitize the whole thing. I do believe we have the program. We just need to finalize when this happens. Obviously, we're not going to move in a couple of months. We have time to discuss that, but the plan is and has been to digitize all those paper files because they're difficult to move, and also, you know, to keep them the way they are. The possibility of them getting lost also exists. So,
Well, I
Steve,
don't disagree. Is there any estimate what it might cost? And also, I recall under Joe Gill, was there not a period when prisoners in Texas were digitizing some of the building department files?
I don't recall that.
Joe Gill?
Mayor, may I answer that, please?
I don't recall that.
Abraham?
The estimated cost just for the building department is between $225,000 to $250,000.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. That's why it's been pushed off. And the other, in reference to your other question, is there are not so many companies that they do offer these services, and those companies that they do offer the services, I'm not sure about prisoners, but they do hire people with disabilities. So I'm not sure about the prisoners, but they do hire people with disabilities to help them with that.
Well, I believe there was some kind of arrangement with the state of Texas, but Abraham, never mind the building department. What about the files that are, let's say, downstairs in the clerk's office? Don't they have to be digitized too? And any idea what it would cost and who would do it?
Most of the items in the clerk's office are either permanent file that we need to have them in paper, or according to the New York Archive, they have a what I call like a expiration date that we can shred them. We no longer need to keep them. I do not have the estimate of how much it's going to cost or how much paperwork has to be moved.
Okay, well, those are things that need to be thought about and estimated in the future before you go ahead. So thank you. Now I also had some questions for the building department. First is to thank them for getting something done with 31 Beach Road. That house has been painted and largely fixed up, and a lot of the junk is gone, and the jungle is gone there. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but at least something got done there. But I do wonder about some other things. What about 109 Baker Hill Road? And I believe it's 4 Second Road, where village residents suspect that there may be illegal daycare centers. Has anything been done? Have inspectors gone to look at these properties?
So I did make the inspectors aware of the 109 Baker Hill. I did not know about the other one. So that is being looked into, yes.
All right, well then I'll pursue that. Next is 35 Beach Road. That's the house where in the storm in August, the tree fell on the house, and there's all the tarps and all that. Is there any idea if that structure will be, well, either repaired or demolished?
Nothing has been brought to us as of yet, no.
That property recently changed hands.
Oh, it's been sold since the storm. So perhaps you have no idea if the new owner is going to fix, or, well, perhaps we'll get that soon, because that's an eyesore.
David.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to get fixed, or it's going to get torn down and repaired.
Yeah.
So it will take its course when the permits come in and they do what they have to do.
Well, that's just fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Any other comments?
You can unmute yourself if you have to if you would like to comment, please.
Okay, hearing no comments, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, everybody, be safe. Good luck. Make sure if you haven't voted, go vote. You have another 25 minutes. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, all.